Welcome, meatheads, to a very special cooking meat. Today, I'm gonna tell you a little story about a young chef with big dreams of seeing the world and cooking as many animals as I can. Just a young chef boy looking out into the world saying, where can I get mine? Where am I gonna find a place for me? Then I heard about a magical land far away, a tiny little island in the Caribbean called Puerto Rico, where they have an entire town in the mountains dedicated to roasting whole pigs. I knew that was the place for me. So I loaded up my VW bus, drove to the nearest ocean, which happened to be the Pacific, so it was the wrong way. So I packed up my Mickey Mouse backpack, went to the nearest airport, and bought a one-way ticket to Puerto Rico. I was there for 4 years. I opened up 3 restaurants. I owned 1.5 of them. Even to this day, there's still huge beer pong tournaments held in my honor. This year, in fact, they're holding the 8th annual Torneo de Patricio Cervezas. It was a great time, it was a happy time, it was a tropical time. The women were beautiful, the cocaine was cheap, the rum was flowing. I had the opportunity to work with award-winning chefs, learned incredible techniques. I've seen some things that typical Americans would absolutely have to pay double for. I swam with the fish, I soared with the eagles, I grunted with the pigs. But I had to come back so I can share all the wonderful knowledge I've learned with you at home, the meatheads. So to start things off, we're gonna sing one of the beautiful island harmonies together. Sing it if you know it. No hay ron más fuerte que Don Q. No lo hay, no lo hay. No hay ron más fuerte que Don Q. No lo hay, no lo hay. Con chiña, con piña, con cranberry, and con limón. No hay otro. Boy, do we got a special one today, guys. In my restaurant in Puerto Rico, the Condado Cantina, this was hands down the #1 seller. Probably the most famous dish. So we're gonna make today Tequila Braised Duck Taquitos. All right, so this is a real restaurant dish. There's a whole restaurant prep to it. It's a lot of work involved. It's kind of evolved over the years, but this has been the final form for a while. Start off with whole duck. It's very important that you get a whole duck because we're gonna use all the duck, really. So we're gonna do a quick butcher on this duck and we're basically just going to quarter it. When you are cooking duck breast, you're gonna wanna leave the skin on and sear it medium rare, get a nice crisp on that. We're not searing, we're gonna braise this duck. So I'm actually gonna take this fat off once I get the legs off, and we're gonna use it for something else. First thing we're gonna do, I have a bowl to collect all my fat in. This little fat piece off right here. And then we're gonna cut through the legs. When you cut the legs off, you're gonna cut here along the hip. Cut all that stuff out. All right. The cool thing about butchering, I used to love to butcher because you can see kind of how animals and muscles kind of go together. So you can see literally where the leg and the, not leg muscles meet and they're kind of attached by this membrane. So we're gonna kind of take this back a little bit, following that membrane. Ooh. And while we're doing it, we're using the Knife Saga boning knife. We're actually using it for what it's for this time, so it's very exciting times here. So then you wanna break the leg. So see the bone pop out right here, and then you just cut right behind it. And look at that, a perfect duck leg. So we're gonna do this on the other side, take off all this extra fat, and we're gonna save the fat for sure. We're gonna save everything. This is a very fancy dish. Again, this is one of those things where I don't know if I invented this dish, but I haven't seen it anywhere else. So I'm gonna take all the credit for it. Oh yeah. Pop that guy out. Bang. Ducks are super fatty. They live in cold water, they swim around, so there's just so much fat on a duck, and duck fat is one of the best things. This is all the neck fat. We're gonna save that. We're gonna cut the neck off because we're not gonna really use that, but you know what I'll use this for? You guessed it, snake bite. She's gonna have a great lunch today. All right, so the next we're gonna pop off these wings. And it's kind of the same thing. You pop them out of joint and just kind of work around them. Same thing, the wings, there's not too much meat on them. So you could roast these up and kind of get a little bit off it, but we'll do the same thing. This is all gonna go for snake bite. Snake bite's gonna have a duck wing and neck lunch today. Pop that out. There we go. And the breasts and all that stuff. You can crack this part off if you want. You can snap this in half and crack it off, but I kind of use it just to have some to hold or whatever. If you are just gonna sear some duck breast, you wanna cook a duck breast, don't do what I'm doing. Don't take the skin off. You wanna take the wishbone out, which we'll do next. Just breast them out like this. We're not doing that. We just want the meat. We're gonna use the skin for something else. So the wishbone is right in here. Oh, it's broken too. What I usually do to get the wishbone out is I'll just take it along the top, cut through the right there, and then literally just yank this mother out. And there's the wishbone right there. The reason why you take the wishbone out, if you're trying to breast this whole thing out, you're going to hit that wishbone and it's gonna be kind of ugly here at the end. This will get you a clean cut all the way to the breastplate. There's a lot of ways to butcher things. Everyone has their own way of doing it. People have been butchering ducks the way their grandpappies taught them for thousands of years. So this is just the way I learned to do it. It's not the only way, it's not the right way, it's not the best way, whatever, dude. So anyway, so I'm gonna separate the skin down here because I'm gonna skin this guy. And we're gonna try and keep as much meat on the breast as we can. So When you separate it, you see, you just kind of peel this little membrane. You just kind of have to touch it right here and it peels off itself. So we're just gonna keep hitting this membrane until the duck skin falls off or peels off. And hopefully we leave all the flesh there. I got a little there. I got a tiny little bit of meat there, but that's okay. Can't be perfect all the time, right? All right, so look, that's half a duck breast peeled right there. Just peel it back like this. Whoa, upskirt. Hey, what you hiding in there? And we'll get the rest of this stuck off real fast. Some people can just peel it off, but sometimes you see how the flesh is starting to rip right there. That's why I usually don't pull it to peel it off, because I want to keep as much flesh as I can. I just like it when it looks nice. I like a whole breast. I don't like my titties all fucked up. I gotta tell you, I've used a lot of knives to skin a lot of animals. I have a really good hunting knife that I use. One knife set pretty much my whole life. This boning knife is pretty dang good. If you have a really sharp boning knife, look at that. Like you barely even have to touch it. And that's it. Through season 2, Knife Saga knives have really been coming through for us. I am pleasantly surprised about how sharp these guys are. Check out Knife Saga knives. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed by them. All right, so we got the whole breast skin off. We're just gonna save it in there. Now, the last couple things we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the breast meat and add it to our meat pile. That's a little bone in the breast. So we're gonna start on the side right here and go all along it, we're gonna try and score it right along that bone, just as best we can. Here's where we took the wishbone out. If we had that wishbone in, we'd hit the wishbone right there and it wouldn't be as clean. And then we can kind of separate it by your finger. There's the duck tenderloin in there. There's the duck breast. And then the same thing as when we peel the skin off, you just kind of want to touch it along that membrane. We took off the shoulders already, so that shoulders aren't in the way. So you're gonna run your knife right along this fat line. That's kind of where the breast separates from the back. And there you got a whole duck breast. Then we'll do this again, flip it on the other side. Bang, 2 duck breasts. If you want to make duck stock, this is what you use right here. You use this and you can use the wings too if you didn't want to feed them to your dog. We don't have any need for duck stock right now, but I am going to take the skin off the back. Good stuff back here. Try to be as least wasteful as possible. DuckTales, woo. All right, so now we're going to do 2 things at once. We're going to take all this duck fat that we peel, we're going to render it down into some rendered duck fat. We're gonna put this on low as possible and we're just gonna keep stirring a little bit. It's not as thick and chunky as cow fat, so it'll go a lot faster, so you gotta kind of keep an eye on it. And then if you do fry this up a little bit, you can make like duck chicharrones out of it, and that's actually pretty good. We'll just let that go low and slow. While we're waiting for our duck fat to render down, we are gonna do 2 things. We're gonna get the base of our braise. So we're gonna use the 2 duck breasts and we're gonna use the 2 legs. So for this one, we want 2 parts salt, 1 part black pepper, 1 part brown sugar. That's what we're gonna cure this with. Like I said, even though it's not really technically curing, but you know. And we can put a pretty generous helping on here. So we're gonna put 2 teaspoons of salt. Make that one a little smaller. All right, 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, crushed black pepper. So we're gonna guess, like 12, dude, whatever. You figure it out yourself. I'm tired of adding. Easy season on this guy. I think when I used to do this in restaurants, we'd just leave the duck skin on the legs because fuck it, that's why. All right, so we're gonna set this off to the side, nice and seasoned. We're gonna let that chill for a little bit. So we're gonna do an easy braise on this. When you braise stuff, most of the time what you wanna do is you wanna put your meat in first and cook it and sear it off, right? I don't wanna do that with the duck. I want it to be very shreddable, kind of like carnitas without that sear. To get the kind of like shit on the bottom of the pan, also called the fawns that I want, we need some sort of like fatty meat to kind of make that element. So I use bacon. It renders the fat out, you throw it in there, you throw in all your vegetables, and so when we deglaze it with the tequila, it'll be perfect. For this part is real easy because we're gonna strain the liquid after. 2 whole pieces of bacon, everything in whole. We're gonna cut an onion in half, basically. A nice white onion. Yeah, we'll quarter it, make it a little easier. Throw this guy back. We're gonna throw some fresh garlic in there, probably like 5 cloves, whatever. 5, okay. We don't need to chop these garlics up at all, we're just gonna smash them, throw them in there. 5 big old garlics, 1 ducky cooking, 5 big bong rips, and a ducky cook in my oven. Christmas special, watch out meatheads. So we got garlic, we got onions, we got bacon. Chop up some celery real loosely. Bah! We got ourselves some fresh bay leaves, bam. 2 of them. You know what? 3 of them shits. Duck fat? Oh yeah. It's already starting to render out. Look, it goes a lot faster than tallow. It's already starting to cook a little bit. Look, see that oil? Beautiful duck oil. We're gonna use that for part of this dish too. We use it all, baby, so we'll keep that going. Now that I got this going, oh yeah. Bacon and onions is a great smell together. We're gonna season all this stuff. We're gonna do salt, pepper. Turn it up, the heat, now that I'm paying attention to it. And we're gonna let this guy get rocking. The grease from the bacon is gonna help everything kind of stick to the bottom. So we got our 2 things going. Great job, everybody. Okie dokie, so this has been going for a little bit. Come on over here, Rick Dog. See all that stuff at the bottom of the pan? That's what we're going for. All that fond. The fond. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna deglaze it. When I came up with this recipe, I was really into cooking with cocktails. I was a young man and I like to drink. So this was like tequila sunrise. So tequila sunrise is orange juice and tequila. So we probably have 2 cups of orange juice and we're gonna probably put a 1/4 cup of tequila in there. Then we're gonna braise this. When we do it, we're gonna add a little bit first to get that fond all scummed up. Look at that, see it just coming up off that thing? That is all flavor. Come over here. You can smell it. You can already smell the orange juice tequila stuff. All right, so we're getting all that fond. Add a little more braising liquid. Perfect. There we go. Look at that. Look at that dark, rich braising liquid. We're gonna add 1 more portable wine glass of orange juice and tequila. We like to drink in my family. We like to drink strong and the women stronger. All right, that was good. So now the next step is we're gonna bring this to a boil and then basically we add our ducks in there, right? While we wait, you know, just relax, hang out, have a drink or 2. All right, so while this is all going, get our oven preheated to, let's say 375 for this guy. Our duck fat is still rendering down. This, like I told you, it goes so much faster than beef fat. It's just a lot thinner. It's not as like hard and like condensed, I guess you could say. So this goes pretty fast. That's why this is a real easy, quick one. You can use duck fat to cook duck fat potatoes, duck fat French fries. We're gonna use this to make duck fat refried beans. Ricky, I don't think I should have done that, dude. All right. Next step is we're gonna put the quickly cured duck meat into the broth. And we're just gonna throw this guy in there. Any way you want it, that's the way you do it. Any way you want it, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, we just wanna make sure that it's completely covered. We want these things to be in there. So then we'll just kind of manipulate these down to get covered. And if we do at this point, since we have a lot of orange juice and a lot of tequila in there, at this point, if we need any more liquid, we'll just put a little water on top just to kind of cover it. So we'll probably add just a tiny little scotch of water, something underneath that duck breast. Thank you, get out of my way. A cup of water. Perfect, everything's covered. We'll bring this back to a boil. We'll put the lid on. It takes about 2 hours or so for this. So once we get, dude, I am just crossfaded, bro. Once we put this in the oven, we'll finish rendering this fat. We'll make some duck fat refried beans, and then we'll put together our taquitos and we'll fucking eat them. Because I for sure have the munchies now. Ricky, please give me a coconut water. They're in the garage. I'm just not here right now. We're gonna add a little salt. Bang, salt is added. Add a little more pepper. Bang. We're gonna add cumin, chili powder, and paprika. And not in that order. Cumin, chili powder, and paprika. These 3 flavors combined are good. Nice, dark, rich, peppery, a little sweet, a little smoky braising liquid. Look at that. All our ducks are in a row. We're gonna put this lid on and let this guy go. About 2 hours. Okay, let's finish duck fat. So yeah, we still got this on real low. Look at that, it's getting just beautifully soupy. You get a lot of duck fat out of a little bit of duck. This honestly would last a long time. And I'm telling you, there's just something about potatoes and duck fat that just goes so wonderful together. All right, so we'll just keep rendering that out. We won't make the beans now. We'll make them a little bit closer to duck time. We got about 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna go throw up, take a nap, rally. Be right back here with you meatheads making more duck taquitos. Pray for me. All right, meatheads. I am feeling much better. Just a quick nap and we're good to go. We got about 10 more minutes left on the duck. We're gonna make our duck fat refried beans. The duck fat finished a while ago, so I already took care of that. We're gonna turn these regular old pinto beans into muy delicioso refried beans. We're gonna put like a 1/4 onion in this thing with our wonderful knife saga knives. We're gonna give this a very small dice because we don't want the texture of big chunks of onion. We want little flavorful specks of onion. 1 little nug of garlic, and we are going to chop this guy up into little bits. Almost mince, not quite a mince. We're gonna use half of a jalapeno de-seeded. So we're gonna split that guy right in half, pick out all these seeds. We'll dice this up and we'll first put these into slices. Same with the onion, we want it the same size as the onion just for texture and to cook about the same time. So just gonna give it a nice little small dice of all of these jalapenos. That is our Mexican mirepoix for our refried beans. Wash my hands one more time. All right, duck fat hasn't cooled completely yet. I was trying to get it to cool off, but you can see it's starting to get cold there at the bottom and starting to turn into this. This is like halfway in between going from oil to like that large substance. You can see it's getting cold down there. We don't need it to be super cold. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a nice tablespoon of duck fat. We're gonna make 2 nice tablespoons of 3 nice tablespoons of duck fat. That's good. On medium to low, we're gonna throw in our mirepoix in there and get a nice cook on it. Now this, my friends, one of the tricks. We're gonna open up these beans. We are not going to drain the liquid. We want the bean juice. There's a lot of flavor in that bean juice, and especially for refried beans, if you've had refried beans, you don't want just a bunch of loose beans. You want a thick and creamy. So we're not going to drain the bean water. We're gonna throw it right in there once these guys get a little sauteed. And that duck is done. 2.5 hours. Ready for the big reveal? Watch the steam. Oh, that looks really good, you guys. Oh, what's that I hear? A mirepoix cooking? Yeah, so we're gonna cook these down. We don't need to get a real big, deep char on them. Just cook them down enough. That's really good, you guys. Really, really good. So that's one breast. It's gonna just fall apart. I want the bay leaf, I want the breast. There's 1, 2 duck breasts, 1 duck leg, and the other duck leg. Now, with this stuff, in the restaurant, what we do is we'd add a little water, bring this into kind of a gravy, because this has got a ton of flavor. Oh, we're gonna use that for sure. We don't even need to do anything about it. Let's set this duck off to the side, let it cool. This is a fun one, you guys. So we've got these soft. That's pretty good for what we want. So next, we're just gonna add the beans and the bean water. I'm trying to incorporate all that in there. Beginnings of refried beans. I'm gonna guess we're gonna need to add a little bit of salt. We don't need to do anything. Perfect the way it is. Just like you at home. I have been called once or twice the Mr. Rogers of the kitchen. It's a beautiful day to eat a cow, a beautiful day to eat a duck. Won't you be mine? Won't you get in my belly? I don't wear shoes though. I don't need to change in and out of shoes when I get home. So we're going to give this a quick couple of pulses. We don't want it to be a complete paste. I like a few big bean chunks in there. So a couple of chunks. And that's probably good enough right there. Now we got duck fat refried beans. Don't be afraid to make a mess. Cooking's messy, right? Don't be afraid. Just clean up after yourselves, right? You can use duck for so much stuff. So we've taken it all apart. If we had left the guts, I would have made another little side dish with the guts, but we didn't have any. Oil out of the fat. We got meat over there. With all those bones, you can make duck broth. We have some duck fat refried beans. There's just a lot to do with a duck. Duck is one of my favorite things to cook because it's kind of like a pig. There's just a lot you can do with it. So the last step for us is we're gonna shred this duck, build our taquitos, and then we're gonna deep fry them, and it's gonna be awesome. So it should be just shredded off at this point. Yeah, that's exactly what we got. Shredded duck. Just falling right off. And this is hot af, so be careful with your fingies. Look at that. Just gorgeous, perfectly cooked, perfectly shreddable. Patito quack quack. That means little duck quack quack in Spanish. All right, perfect. So there's the legs, and the breast should just, same thing, fall right apart. Oh my gosh, look at that. So you see what we're going for. We're just gonna add this into our shredded duck. All right, we don't need a lot. This is just gonna help give it a little extra boost of flavor. So there's our beautiful tequila braised shredded duck breasts. We're gonna make 2 little taquitos. When we do this in restaurants, you should definitely fry them. There is a lot of moving pieces to this dish. When you see it plated, it's just taquitos on beans. But when you see all the work and prep that goes into it, taking a whole duck and breaking it down to all the parts and doing all these dishes with it, that's where that kind of goes into. All the prep, the hours and hours of prep that goes into it, you don't see that when you go sit down at a restaurant. So I have a deep fryer in my basement, but we're not gonna use it because I haven't cleaned it out yet. Yesterday we were frying up some sliced squirrel and I just haven't got around to cleaning it up. It's been a busy week. So we're just gonna pan fry these. So we're gonna take one little piece of Oaxacan cheese right there, and we're gonna take a little bit of shredded duck. You don't need a lot of shredded duck. It's very flavorful, and you don't want to overdo it with overfill it and have this like fall apart when you eat. Another good thing about having a stoner cook your food is when they make taquitos like this, they've already got a lot of experience rolling things up. Look at that. That took like no time at all. That was too easy. All right, pull it back like this. But unlike in real life, you can't just lick these shut. So there's a little trick to getting them to seal all the way and not have it spill. So on one side, we're gonna pierce it with our stick in 2 spots here. And then we're just gonna make sure we follow the same side on this side so the 2 pieces are stuck together and can't go anywhere. See that? Also, if you put them all the way together like this, the inside isn't gonna fry. It's gonna be still like a raw tortilla, like a kind of a soggy tortilla actually. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but just give it a little bit of space so we can fry completely in there. All right. Let's get ready to finish this mother ducker off. So we're gonna fill this like a third of the way up and pan fry it. So what that means is we're gonna have to flip it in the pan. If you deep fry it, the whole thing gets submerged. It cooks a lot faster. I don't wanna set up my whole thing, so I'm not gonna do it. But deep frying is definitely faster and more efficient. So if you got one, use it. If not, this is a good substitute. We're gonna finish up our toppings. We'll slice up a little kiwi. We'll use our Santoku knife for this. Oh, slice that one off, slice that one off. Kiwis are fucking weird. I don't think anybody knows where they come from. In Papua New Guinea, I'm pretty sure they use this as troll bait. So we are just gonna dice a little bit of this up. This is one of the toppings for our taquitos. All right, our oil is hot enough. We're gonna put this in on one side. Look at that sizzle, look at it go. Could have been a little warmer, but that's what you'll still get the idea. When it's real hot, it fries the outside super fast so it doesn't penetrate it as much. But it's good enough. I told you, this dish had been through a couple different versions. The first version, what we used to do is we would take the duck gravy and have that separate, put the taquitos in, put the salsa verde on it, and kind of build it on top of that. As the dish developed, we started adding the beans on the bottom instead, and using the duck fat to make the beans, and then we would use the gravy mixed into the actual duck meat, and it just kind of looks a little cleaner, it looks a little nicer, and you still get all the flavors, and you get a little extra bonus beans to make the more of like a complete dish. Really frying it up now, guys. Just warm these beans back up, fry up the taquitos. Probably 2 more minutes on this side, we'll flip it over, give it on the other side, and we'll be good to go. All these kind of flavors combined just give it this unique combination of flavors, but still has this real duckiness throughout, and it just has always worked good. I'm really proud of this dish. So there we go, fried on one side. Now it's starting to look like taquitos, huh? That's the fat popping in that duck. So yeah, we got another minute on this guy. I'm so quacking excited about this. Oh, we're done, you guys. We're done, meatheads. That is perfectly fried all the way through. Let's make a plate of food. We've got our duck fat, refried beans, still got some nice chunk to them. A little jalapeno for some spice, a little duck fat for some richness. We're gonna put these right on there in the middle. A nice big dollop of salsa verde right in between them. We're gonna do our little sour cream drizzle. All right, and the last things we're gonna do is we're gonna add this our little chopped kiwi on top, all over. You're thinking, kiwi? What the heck? I'm telling you. Add such a little pop of sweet and acidity, it just goes so well. Let's do one little dollop of cilantro right there. There you go, dude. That is Chef Pat's #1 selling dish of his entire career, the Tequila Braised Duck Taquitos. You gotta use flour tortillas for these taquitos too. I know it might not be like super traditional or whatever, but it just works so good for the texture and the flavor. That's the dish. That's the dish that launched my career. This is the dish that got me nominated for 9th best chef in all of San Juan, Puerto Rico. I didn't win, but I came close with this guy. This is the one. Like I said before, there's so much going on that it all just kind of blends into one delicious flavor. The kiwi, the pops of kiwi, the pops of sweet, with all that savory and acidity, it just works so good. This is a perfect, complete dish. So I am going to eat this whole thing. No one's gonna stop me. I'm not gonna share with Ricky. All the way from Puerto Rico to Colorado to your home. Tequila Braised Duck Taquitos for the win. So meatheads, take care of yourselves, eat many meats, and love your loved ones hard. Adios, te amo, te quiero, y nos vemos pronto. Muchas gracias.